Hello, I'm Libby Simpson. I'm the Director of Education for First. And as a former classroom educator, I'm very excited and happy to be doing this Teacher Appreciation Week interview series this year to celebrate the work of our teachers. This year in particular has been a very challenging one for teachers and students all over the globe. And we really just wanted to highlight, especially this year, all of the invisible work that teachers do throughout our first community and celebrate that in first style. We definitely know how to celebrate things. So today I'm joined with two amazing educators and first champions in their community, Sherry and Mitch Comer. Thank you both for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
We really appreciate being here.
Very excited to talk to you guys. I know you have a wealth of knowledge about all things education and first. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and maybe weave some of that in there for our audience.
Sure. My name is Sherry Comer, and I am the Director of After School Services for the Camdenton R3 District, which is in Camdenton, Missouri, a small rural town with a population of about 3,800, located just outside Lake of the Ozarks. And no, we are not like the show. Being an after-school director, I had the privilege of helping my husband bring First Robotics into our school district after he kind of suckered me into it. I helped take that on, and our high school team, Laser 3284, is the Central Missouri affiliate for FLL.
So I'm Mitch, her husband, and so
I'm his boss.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. She's my boss, and she lets me know it all the time. But I've been in education for 32 years. I've been at Camdenton for 25, and been involved with First now. This is our 13th year involved with First.
That's amazing. See, you guys bring so many different perspectives, so I'm really excited to share all of this with our audience. And thank you guys for all the work that you do locally and in education in your area. The students and your colleagues, I'm sure, are very lucky, to have you working with the students there. So how does the idea of the invisible work that teachers do to help their students succeed, that kind of hidden curriculum, how do you think that has changed this year especially?
Well, the last year and a half has certainly been challenging for educators as a whole, in regular day and in an after-school setting. Um, I think if anyone had to deal with a global pandemic, teachers were probably the most prepared because they constantly have to adapt, and they have continual growth, and they have to change, and they really have to do that almost on a daily basis. So really, we were really fortunate to work in a district where everybody just jumped in and did what they had to do, because as a teacher and educator, that's just what you do. You do whatever's best for the kids.
Yeah, and to add to that, it's really the passion is what I saw come out in the teachers that cared about what they do and reaching out to the kids, whether it's virtually or in class setting. It rose to the top. Just their passion and their dedication to their students.
Absolutely. That the relationship with it, that teachers and the rapport that teachers build with their students is such an important piece. And I think I was really amazed by the stories I was seeing of teachers that were doing what we know they always do and going above and beyond to make sure that they were still building that rapport with their students, even though there was the distance and the reinventing, like you said, Sherry, we constantly adapt and change and learn new techniques because the theory of education is always changing. So
Always.
Always.
we, we saw that definitely this year a lot. So great points. So over the years, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about being an educator?
Oh, I think that we leave at 3 o'clock and we get summers off and we don't work on the weekends. Big misconception.
Yeah, it's a 12-month-a-year job, and prior to COVID, there was a few years there where Sherry and I had 28 weekends with something first related that we were involved, either both Saturday and Sunday or into that weekend. So, teaching's year round, whether it's training, preparing, learning new technology, new coursework, new curriculum. You cannot sit back, and you got to ever be changing and adapting, and so that is the biggest. It's a full-time job.
It's really about staying at least one step ahead of the kids, because they learn at such a rapid pace, and technology is almost obsolete by the time you get something new. And so it's just that continual lifelong learning process as an educator.
Absolutely. And instilling that in the students, right? Because that's how they're going to be able to stay ahead and be prepared for that 21st century workforce. So,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
because we're preparing them for jobs that don't even exist yet.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, 100.
as a teacher, one of the things I've noticed is 10 years ago, if you put a robot down in front of a student, they were amazed and fascinated and engaged. And the younger kids today, not so. They're really desensitized to that technology because they have it. And so you can't just rely on the toy or the gizmo to engage them or attract them. You have to have the other aspects of it to get them involved.
Yeah, no, that is so true. That's a really great point, because as educational technology changes, that becomes just another tool for learning, and they can have those students can have those negative perceptions of technology, and even teachers in some cases. So that constant need to kind of learn and grow, and how to actually use the tool becomes less important, and then how to learn and how to teach with the tool
Right.
becomes more important. So
Right.
probably the same teachers went through the same thing when textbooks came out, probably. And
Probably.
now who needs them, right? Um, so I think this is mostly Mitch, Sherry, are you retiring as well?
Yes,
From
we both
Okay,
are.
so it's for both of you. So one, thank you for all of your years of dedication in education, and I'm sure that your district is going to send you a fabulous retirement celebration. And so what is, as you retire, what is the impact that you're most proud of?
I think for me, my goal in everything through after school was really just giving kids experiences that they might not otherwise have. Like I said, we're a smaller rural area, and I just always wanted our kids to have the advantages of kids that were in larger cities. I wanted them to know that if they said they wanted to be an astronaut in 5th grade, that when they hit 8th grade, they didn't go, oh, the math is too hard, I'm not smart enough. I wanted them to walk out the doors, go on to college, go on to a trade school, and be successful and be contributing members of society. And for me, it was about just providing those opportunities. I mean, FIRST has allowed our kids to literally travel all over the world. From a little tiny town that has zero industry, our kids went to Australia. They were supposed to go to Japan, but the pandemic kind of stopped that. But we've been able to travel all of the United States and teach kids not only those technical STEM skills, but really important life lessons. Sorry.
No,
Um,
you're
One thing I was really proud of prior to the COVID, we had over 400 students in our school district in a FIRST program, which was over 10% of our student population. And that was something I was really proud that we were able to achieve. We had more stipend robotics coaches than we had football coaches. And when you're talking about trying to change the norm. That's something I've looked back and that was quite an achievement that our district bought into the FIRST program and offering it to our students.
Absolutely. Wow, that's an amazing statistic. And it goes to show, the hard work that you guys put in to advocate for how powerful that is, and that the district actually followed through and kind of put their money where their mouth is and
Exactly.
provided those stipends. Because as you guys said before, teaching is 24/7, 365. And so we, especially, with FIRST or sports or any of those extra things, they are truly extra. And so to recognize teachers for that is amazing. How, as you guys have, you had a long time with your education careers and with your FIRST careers, what is some of the biggest changes that you've seen in education, kind of especially as it relates to STEM?
Well, I've been teaching tech ed for 32 years, and just having a copy machine was quite technology from the old mimeograph that we had to have to make copies. So, the tools that we use in technology, to go from posters to television to now projecting our screens up to now getting live feedback with tablets in the classroom. Um, the instructional technology definitely has changed, but learning has not. You got to have passion. You got to be engaging. The kids got to see the why in what you're trying to teach them. For example, I had a geometry teacher that I asked the first week of school, "Why do I need geometry?" And he said, "You have to have it to go to college." Well, neither of my parents graduated high school. College was not on the radar, and so I dropped the class and took a study hall. So that's kind of been my driving force, is to always challenge the kids and give them the why they need to be there, and have them thinking about what they're going to be doing down the road, because they have a palette in front of them that they can choose any avenue that they want to go, and they can literally be and do anything. So that's kind of what drives me, and that passion hasn't changed for 32 years.
I think one thing that I have seen change a little bit, the good teachers always were project-based teachers, where it was hands-on and they were getting down the floor and demonstrating and building and doing. But it took a while for that shift to occur in all classrooms. And I love now that PBL is just how people teach. And that's how it should be, because as he said, kids have to understand how it correlates to the real world.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And I know project-based learning and STEM, they kind of tend to go hand in hand, but your project-based learning has been a concept in education since actually like the early 50s into the 60s. That kind of theory was developed and studied. So to see it come back around as a real true solution for building all of those holistic skills, the critical thinking, the problem solving, and the connection to that real world, as you mentioned, is great, because it works for all topics. And the way that our kids learn today, you guys even mentioned earlier, like putting the robot down in front of them doesn't necessarily, really excite them anymore. And so to have that way of using that tool as a way of learning other subjects, that's the key to project-based learning. Love it.
And we love FIRST because it's so cross curricula.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it such a neat package.
100%, yes. So you mentioned earlier how many schools and teachers in your district are doing FIRST. So what do you think other districts should follow the lead, and bring FIRST in broadly across grade levels and in
Mary,
multiple
the after
schools?
school coordinator.
Well, I think the reason why is it really sets kids up to be very successful. And it not only that, it sets up your community to be successful. When you're looking at workforce development, and you can even go beyond that and look at your state and workforce development, and then you can go beyond that. It's a really important piece of the circle, so to speak. It gives skills, all of those 21st century skills, like you mentioned, collaboration, communication, working as a team, etc. The critical thinking is huge. Kids often don't want to have to think critically, and when they start to fail, they just quit. And FIRST really teaches those kids that failure is okay, and it teaches teachers that failure is okay, because I have seen educators that don't want their kids to fail because they think it's a reflection on them. And I always say that's a really good thing. Now let's find out why they failed and let's move forward. So I just think it's a program that can grow not only the kids and the school, but the community as a whole.
My suggestion would be, and most people have no idea about what FIRST is. What is it about? Oh, you build a robot. No, we build a robot to build kids. And, if you can get a district administrator or a teacher, maybe you're trying to get to buy in just to go with you and visit an off-season event or go to a season event, maybe have them be a chaperone and have them come with you on a trip. And once they see FIRST, they get it. And that was the exact quote our superintendent used, our principal used, our athletics director used, is, you told me about it. I see the excitement you would use in describing it, but I get it now after going to the event. And it was an off-season event. We took our first group of kids to, hey, I want to do robotics. I want to take you to an off-season event. And it was a 3-hour drive back from Kansas City. And all the kids could talk about was what would be now gracious professionalism. They're talking, can you believe other teams will help us and give us parts and give us plans and help us code? And that's what sold me when I heard that coming back for 3 hours. That's all they talked about. It wasn't the robots. It wasn't the machines. It wasn't the, they're hitting each other at, going fast on the floor. And it was about the personal interaction. And so they had me at gracious professionalism.
Yeah, if the world worked like FIRST, it would be wonderful.
Right? Absolutely. All about lifting each other up and helping, someone who might be your competitor be successful, because when they succeed, you succeed. Yes. Absolutely. But it's so great that the students resonated with that, right?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we think that they're drawn to it because of exactly what you said, like, oh, their robots are fighting. But they're really not. Once they understand it deeply as well, they're drawn to it for all the reasons all of us are drawn to it. Yeah, definitely more than robots. So the last question, I think that you guys are a demonstration of what Christy McAuliffe said when she said the famous quote, "I touch the future, I teach," because your history with education and with FIRST, you guys probably have thousands of students, who can firsthand attest to, how you've helped them get to where they are today. And so how do you think, and what is your perspective on that quote, and how you see how teachers shape the future?
Well, I think that's an amazing quote to start with. And I think it's a very true quote. I think teachers play a really important role in the education of all their students. I think that you have to be so many things to a student: a teacher, a mentor, a counselor, a parent. Sometimes you provide for their physical needs and for their food. And I think that teachers impact students in ways that the general public cannot even begin to understand.
I just add role models. I think just being a solid adult in their life that can give them good role models, treat them as young adults. In our case, we're really lucky, we're married and we work together, and the kids see us work afterwards, and we don't always agree. And, how do we handle, a disagreement, And
Yeah.
so I'm the head coach, she's the assistant coach, but she's the director of after school services. So who trumps who? She wins. But, and I really think just being that role model, and give just someone that they can look up to. How do you handle the struggles in everyday life? And, how do you get up, you show work, be there on time, show that you care. And that goes a long way, I think, because so many of our young kids do not have a good role model to mimic or look up to. So
I think it's really important too for the teachers provide structure for kids. And I know if you ask them, they say they don't want structure, but all kids crave structure. And I think that that's one thing that first provides, you're working under tight time constraints and a set of rules, but you have to be creative and you have to think critically. And I think that teachers kind of help put that all in a nice box and show them how it relates to when you walk out these doors as a senior, you're going to be steps ahead of everybody else because you did first. So.
Mm-hmm. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to follow up on that, on the essential nature of having structure in education. So I couldn't agree with you both more. Thank you so much for talking with me today. And I know everybody who watches this video is going to be as inspired and grateful that you guys have shared what you did with us today about FIRST and about education. And I hope you both have a wonderful Teacher Appreciation Week and a wonderful send-off into retirement.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you, Libby.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.